After you've set up the equipment maintenance module, you can enter your equipment into EZM Web. To start entering your equipment, click on Equipment to Maintain under the Equipment Maintenance drop-down list on the left side of the screen. After you click on Equipment to Maintain, you'll be taken to the following screen, which we'll call the Main Equipment Control screen. From this screen, you can accomplish the following actions. View and search a list of all of your equipment. Input new equipment into EZM Web. Edit pieces of equipment that you've entered. Delete pieces of equipment that you've entered. Record usage logs for your equipment. Print barcoded labels for your equipment. And print a maintenance history for a selected piece of equipment. At the top of the Main Equipment Control screen, you'll see the list of equipment. The list of equipment displays all of the equipment that you've entered into EZM Web so far. Just by simply looking at the list of equipment, you can glean the following information for each piece of equipment you've entered. What kind of equipment it is. The equipment name for each piece of equipment is shown in the Equipment Name column. The equipment name tells you what kind of equipment it is, what maintenance profile it has. The maintenance profile for each piece of equipment is shown in the Profile column. The maintenance profile dictates the maintenance schedule for that piece of equipment. What customer it belongs to. If you're servicing a piece of equipment for a customer of yours, the customer will be shown in the Customer column. Its internal control number. The internal control number for each piece of equipment is shown in the ICN column. The internal control number is an arbitrarily chosen code that is used to uniquely identify each piece of equipment in EZM Web. The internal control number for a piece of equipment may or may not correspond with the internal tracking numbers your company uses to track equipment. Its manufacturer serial number. The manufacturer serial number for each piece of equipment is shown in the MSN column. This number is here to aid you both when trying to locate the equipment in EZM Web and when trying to identify it when speaking with the manufacturer. There are also two search features on the right side of the screen which you can use to locate pieces of equipment. The first is the quick search box at the upper right-hand corner. Using the quick search box, you can search for pieces of equipment all sharing the same classification, or you can search for a piece of equipment by entering its equipment name, manufacturer serial number, or internal control number. To search for all pieces of equipment sharing the same classification, first select the classification from the Equipment Classification Filter drop-down box. Then click on the small Go button immediately below and to the right of the drop-down box. The equipment list will then be updated with only the pieces of equipment with the classification you selected. To reset the list so that all of the equipment is displayed, select Search All from the drop-down box and then click on the Go button. To search for a piece of equipment by entering its equipment name, manufacturer serial number, or internal control number, click in one of the small circles named Equipment Name, Manufacturer Serial Number, or Internal Control Number, respectively. Then, depending on what you selected, type in the equipment name, manufacturer serial number, or internal control number in the box immediately below. Then click on the small Go button immediately to the bottom right. If you selected equipment name, all of the pieces of equipment with the equipment name that you typed will be shown in the equipment list. Similarly, if you selected manufactured serial number, all of the pieces of equipment with the manufacturer serial number which you typed will be shown, since the manufacturer serial number is not necessarily unique. If you chose internal control number, the one piece of equipment with the internal control which you typed will be shown. You can also locate pieces of equipment by scanning a barcoded label using the Scan a Barcode box on the right side of the screen. To locate a piece of equipment by scanning its barcode, you first need to select whether the barcode you're scanning contains the equipment's internal control number or its manufacturer serial number by clicking on one of the small circles called Internal Control Number or Manufacturer Serial Number. Once you've selected one of the two, then place the cursor in the box immediately below by clicking on it. Then use your barcode reader to swipe the barcode and then click on the Go button immediately below the box. The piece of equipment which you scanned will now be shown where the equipment list usually is. To create a new piece of equipment into EZM Web, first you will need to be at the Main Equipment Control screen. Then you'll need to click on the yellow-colored New button at the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. After clicking on the New button, you'll be taken to a screen where you enter the details about the new piece of equipment. As you can see here, there are several fields on the New Equipment Information screen in which you can enter data. Fields marked with a red asterisk are required fields, which means that you cannot save the new piece of equipment into EasyMWeb until you have input information into these fields. Also notice that all of the fields are organized into the groups Equipment Unit ID, Equipment Description, Maintenance, and Customer. We'll proceed group by group and describe the purpose of each data field. Equipment Unit ID, Internal Control Number. In this field, you enter a code that uniquely identifies the piece of equipment. This can either be a code from your existing cataloging system that your company uses internally, or a completely new code that you'll use in EasyMWeb. Manufacturer Serial Number. In this field, you enter the code which the manufacturer itself uses to identify the item. Equipment Description. Name. Here, you select the short description of this piece of equipment that describes it briefly and indicates what type of equipment it is. You can only select equipment names which have already been entered into EasyMWeb. Brand. In this field, you enter the brand of equipment which you're entering. Model. In this field, you can enter the model name or number of the equipment which you're entering. Capacity. Here you enter the capacity of the piece of equipment which you're entering. Classification. This is where you select the classification to which the piece of equipment you're entering belongs. Classifications are groups into which you can put related piece of equipment for maintenance tracking purposes. Here you can only choose classifications which have already been entered into EasyMWeb. Unit location. Here you enter the location in your facility or facilities which this piece of equipment belongs. Maintenance. Start date. This is where you enter the date from which you want the maintenance for this piece of equipment to begin scheduling. The month, day, and year are selected from the 3 drop-down boxes here. Starting usage. In this field, you'll enter the amount of usage which the piece of equipment has at the point where it's entered into EasyMWeb. Next due date. There are 3 options here for choosing how EasyMWeb handles the case where the next due date for a maintenance event falls on the weekend. You can select either all days valid, in which case maintenance can be scheduled to be due on Saturdays and Sundays. If you choose Saturday, Sunday excluded, any maintenance which is scheduled to be due on a Saturday or Sunday will be scheduled to be due on the immediately previous Friday. If you choose Sunday only excluded, then any maintenance which is scheduled to be due on a Sunday will be scheduled on the immediately previous Saturday. Maintenance profile. This is where you choose the equipment maintenance profile which describes the maintenance schedule for the piece of equipment which you're entering. You must choose from a list of equipment maintenance profiles that have already been entered into EasyMWeb. Description. This field is automatically filled in with the description of the maintenance profile you choose. Comments. Enter any other comments pertaining to the maintenance for this piece of equipment here. Lastly, in the Customer drop-down box, you choose the customer, if any, for whom you're servicing this piece of equipment. The Other Information section of the New Equipment Information window is where you enter information into custom fields whose names you choose yourself. To choose your own custom field names, click on the Customized Captions button. This will open up a window into which you input your custom field names. In this window, enter the names you want for the fields and then click on the Save button to save your changes. If you just want to close the window without making any changes, then click on the Close button. When you've finished entering all of the information for the new piece of equipment you're entering, click on the Save button at the bottom of the New Equipment Information screen. Also notice that along with the Save button, there are also 2 other buttons, Reproduce and Cancel. Click on Cancel if you've changed your mind and do not want to enter a new piece of equipment. This button will take you back to the main equipment control screen without saving anything. The Reproduce button will save the piece of equipment which you've entered and open up a new window where you can create another piece of equipment which has all the same properties and information as the one you just saved. However, you must input a new unique internal control number and another manufacturer serial number for this new piece of equipment. You may also change details of pieces of equipment that have already been entered into EasyMWeb. To do this, first navigate to the main equipment control screen. Once there, locate the piece of equipment that you wish to edit in the list, then look under the Edit column. Click on the small Edit button that corresponds with the one you wish to edit. After clicking on the Edit button that corresponds with the piece of equipment that you want to edit, you'll be taken to the Edit Equipment Information screen. This screen is very similar to the one described earlier, where you enter a new piece of information into EZM Web. Unlike the screen at which you enter a new piece of equipment, however, the Edit Equipment Information screen will be filled with all of the information previously entered about this piece of equipment. Once you've made your desired changes, you can choose to either save the changes to the piece of equipment, or if you've changed your mind and no longer want to make any changes, cancel and return to the main equipment control screen. To save or cancel, click on the Save or Cancel buttons at the bottom of the screen. The Reproduce button functions exactly as it does when entering a new piece of equipment. The Reproduce button will save the piece of equipment which you entered and open up a new window where you can create another piece of equipment which has all the same properties and information as the one you just saved. However, you must input a new unique internal control number and another manufacturer serial number for this new piece of equipment. You may also delete equipment from EZM Web when you no longer want to use EZM Web to track it. To do this, first navigate to the main inventory control screen. Once there, locate the piece of equipment you wish to delete, then look under the Delete column. Click on the small Delete button that corresponds with the one you wish to delete from EZM Web. Once you click on the Delete button, a small window will pop up on the screen, prompting you to confirm that you do want to delete the piece of equipment from EZM Web. Click on the OK button to confirm that you want to delete the piece of equipment. Or click on the Cancel button if you've changed your mind and do not want to delete it from EZM Web. If you click on the OK button, you'll be returned to the main equipment control screen, and the piece of equipment will be removed from the list.